Hello and welcome. My name is Vineet Malhotra and you're watching NewsX Deep Dive. On your screens is a picture from an 8-year-old child. This young boy was severely injured. He had a part of his face bit off by a stray dog while he was playing football with his friends outside his house. He also sustained severe injuries to his head. This is not the first or the last instance of a child being severely hurt by a dog bite. In fact, let's take a look at some of the most horrifying visuals that have come out in recent years. On your screens is a visual from Karnataka. You see an unassuming child walking. You see dogs. Take a look at her, and the moment you do, they maul her. The attack was sudden and totally unprovoked. You see the girl being mauled, the dogs dragging her, and after little resistance, they run away. This another video was captured on CCTV in Madhya Pradesh's Mandsaur. A child, just a little over 1 year old, walked away from her parents, as children often do when she was suddenly attacked by a stray dog in her locality. The child, in fact, was lucky to have was saved by her mother, who ran to pick the child up. The baby, however, was deeply injured by the dog's attack. This one's from Indore's Srinagar extension, where a college student was brutally attacked by stray dogs while heading to write an exam. She screamed, she cried for help and kicked the dogs until they left. In these visuals, we can watch 5 stray dogs surround and attack a postman in Mumbai's Powai. He got lucky as he escaped with the help from a nearby guard, but several people have pointed out, and rightly so, that all may not be so lucky, especially children. These visuals get more disturbing. In the Aligarh Muslim University's campus, a 65-year-old man on a morning walk was brutally mauled by a pack of stray dogs. The man attempted to protect himself. He can be seen trying to dodge them, then shake off the dogs, but they remain unrelentless and continue to bite him. The 65-year-old man unfortunately died due to these bites. While the Supreme Court of India prioritizes safety, it incorporates humane measures under the ABC protocols, including designated feeding zones outside public areas to curb unregulated interactions. Critics, including animal welfare representatives, have raised procedural concerns, noting limited stakeholder input during hearings. Implementation challenges persist, with inconsistent sterilization drives exacerbating population growth. Enhanced municipal compliance, public awareness on bite prevention, and expanded vaccination efforts remain essential for mitigating risks without compromising welfare standards. This framework aims to foster safer communities while adhering to constitutional protections for both human and animal life. Well, dog bites in India have exploded into a public health emergency. And according to the latest data from the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program and RTI responses to the National Centre for Disease Control, 2024 alone saw a staggering 3.7 million reported cases, up nearly 70% from 2022's 2.18 million. But bites are just the spark. The real inferno is rabies. India shoulders 36% of the world's rabies deaths, a burden no other nation carries. Official reports paint a low picture: 286 deaths in 2023, 54 in 2024. But that's the tip of the iceberg. The Indian Council of Medical Research's 2024-25 studies, backed by WHO models, estimate 5,700 to 6,000 human rabies deaths annually. How many stray dogs roam our streets is the big question. Well, estimates vary, but the consensus is quite chilling. The 2019 livestock census pegged it at 15 million. By 2025, experts from the Animal Welfare Board report 20 to 62 million stray dogs roaming Indian streets. Yes, up to 62 million, one for every 23 Indians. That's a canine army, bred unchecked. But why? Well, the 2001 animal birth control rules banned culls, mandating sterilization and vaccination before release. But the real problem lies in implementation. The Supreme Court of India has dropped a bombshell. Citing the rise in dog bite incidents, the court directed all state governments and union territories to, within 2 weeks, identify government institutions, including district hospitals, public sports complexes, and railway stations, and ensure these premises are adequately fenced to prevent the entry of stray dogs. The court directed that every stray canine found in such premises is to be removed, sterilized, and relocated to shelters without being released in the same area. Justice Mehta notes that allowing their return would defeat the very purpose of the exercise. The amicus report was included in the order warning of strict action for negligence. With 5,700 rabies deaths yearly, 62 million strays, and bites eclipsing 3 million annually, inaction is complicity. Today's Supreme Court ruling is a clarion call. Sterilize, vaccinate, shelter stray dogs, not just to protect our children, but also to honor our animals. We'll talk about this with Dr. Swati Jindal Garg, advocate on record, Supreme Court. Swati, appreciate you being here. Well, this is something that is extremely important to talk about and extremely important to address. The Supreme Court has made it very, very clear that this is not going to fly. You cannot have animals and humans coexisting on the same ecosystem. There are going to be repercussions, and those repercussions are, of course, have a lot to do with human health, human safety, human confidence, as well as human enterprise when it comes to stray dogs. We just showed you a picture of a man who was out for a morning walk, was chased and bitten, and he died of a heart attack because of this attack. This is not acceptable anywhere in the world. This is not Africa. This is not a third-rate country. We're the fourth largest economy in the world. It does not behoove India to in fact be dealing with this problem as well. But like I said, my question to you is, Swati, law will be, of course, mentioned, the laws will be used, but what about the implementation? I can't hear you, Swati.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are now.
Yeah, the problem with this country is that most of the people who are agitating against the court's order, they have made it into a scenario where it seems to be a world where we are human versus dogs, whereas that is not the case. The fight today and the orders of the courts are who are the stray dogs. Now, like you said, this is news to me also. 62 million of an army of stray dogs we have in India. The problem today is that whoever is agitating against the orders that have been passed by the court needs to understand that the people today do not have an idea as to how they should deal with the stray dogs. Dogs are not meant to be fed certain food products, and sweets are one of the primary things which must not be fed to dogs. What the people today are doing for whatever religious reasons, humanitarian reasons, be that as it may, they are feeding glucose biscuits to the dog, they are feeding sweetened milk to the dogs, and this results in certain diseases being contracted by the dogs, who become then very aggressive and they start biting people in broad daylight. You're talking about people being bitten on their morning walks by stray dogs. Well, I have another issue which needs to be highlighted today. What about the pet dogs that are being accompanied by their owners, the so-called dog lovers, on their morning walks, and these dogs do not even have a leash on them, and the owner merely says, don't worry, he will not bite you. And if he does end up biting you, the owner would just grin and say, don't worry, he has been properly vaccinated. Today, Vineet, you showed me a very disturbing video where a part of a child's face had been bitten off by the dog. So today, when we talk about the fact that, dogs have been vaccinated, the only thing that we are protecting ourselves from is any disease that results from a dog bite. But what about the mass of flesh that is torn away from a human's body? So when we talk about the court's orders that have been passed recently, I think it's a welcome sigh of relief that we all get to heave, because initially when the court itself had said that, well, remove these dogs and then sterilize them and put them back, luckily the larger bench today has realized that no purpose would be served if the dogs are placed exactly where they were picked up from. So today we have an order that bars these dogs from loitering around in educational institutions, in hospitals, and in areas of public transport. My question, an added question which you can agitate on the media, Vineet, to you is that what about all the welfare societies where we have maybe like this 2% or 3% of residents who are supposedly dog lovers, and who are crusading, who are crusaders of this army for dog lovers, where they will pick up dogs, they will start breeding these dogs literally, and they start feeding these dogs. And when somebody objects to the same, they rise up in arms against such a person, claiming that these people are mean mentality people who do not want the dogs to survive. Today, when it comes to my personal safety vis-a-vis that of an aggressive dog, well, my safety would win hands down. And I would say the same for a so-called dog lover. They must understand the fact that if they love the dogs so much, why don't they house these dogs within their homes and start feeding them? Today, my problem is, what makes you think that you have the dibs to entertain these stray dogs in a particular area, especially a welfare society where there are children playing in common areas? You can't just encourage stray dogs, you can't bring them all together. Sometimes the army of dogs in a particular society goes up to 50, 60, even 100. And the dogs, in anticipation of food being handed out to them by these so called dog lovers, all gather, congregate at that common area where the children are also playing in the evening. So, what right do these dog lovers have? Why not strict action be taken against such people? Why only educational institutions, hospitals, and common areas of transport and sport complexes? Why not the resident welfare societies, which are also primary areas where these dog bites occur? That is my question to you, Vineet.
You're absolutely right, Swati, and you're spot on. This needs a permanent solution. This is not only about looking at this problem from a humanitarian angle, but it is also a problem about pragmatism and how practical it is to have dogs on the streets, because the problem just not relate to them biting humans. There are other issues as well. There are percentages and figures that are put out every year which talk about accidents and deaths which are caused due to dogs on the streets and highways. But nevertheless, Swati, we have run out of time. I appreciate you being here. We take a short break on that note. Be right back.